Welcome.
You organize, right?
Yeah, we organize.
Welcome to Active Teaching Lab, another week.
Yeah, so usually great.
One of the most requested items on the blue handouts is we want more hands-on activity. And so I'm going to make sure we start on time so that we have enough time to do those hands-on activities. So I'm sorry to cut down the conversations, and you can still get up and get a bagel or coffee or something. I'm okay with that. Also, as Ann and Sarah were saying, Halloween is this weekend, I guess.
No, next week.
We don't celebrate it on the 31st in this city, this region. So check your local listings for when Halloween happens and get your candy so those kids don't have to egg your house as a result. It's trick or treat. You got one or the other. It's just a little public service announcement today from Active Teaching Lab. Today we will be doing those hands-on activity. I've seen those check marks in the blue sheets. So we will have activities. If you don't have a computer, we have one more left up front. Otherwise, I bet you a mobile device would work too. It'd be kind of interesting to see how all the check marks and stuff work on that. So this is the Active Teaching Lab course you're looking for. It's the gray box. Feel free to contact me. There's the URL for that. So if you're on the World Wide Web, you can check that out right there. Otherwise, Kathy Mikowski, we'll get to her in a second, actually. But I wanted to give another shout out for Teaching and Learning Symposium. Call for proposals has been extended to the November 1st, so that's next Friday. And registration is by December 15th. So get those proposals in and register by December 15th, so you make sure you get a seat at the table, and we order you some food as well. And that's January 9th, so during the winter interim. Here's Kathy Binkowski's slide. So again, if you have any questions in-house or online, feel free to use the YouTube chat, and Kathy Binkowski would be happy to help you out. Or if you have some requests or need some help during the week, Kathy Binkowski is able to help if you're in the College of Letters and Science and she's interested in your question. I did not understand their qualifier today. She'll also be sticking around after the lab as well to help out with any requests or ideas or some needs you need after that. Today, I am so excited to welcome Mark Sullivan. Mark Sullivan comes to us from the English Language Academy in the Intensive English program. He has a BA in International Relations and an MA in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. And in that strain, he has taught and managed special programs at UC Boulder, taught English in Costa Rica and Casablanca. That's totally awesome. Did you go to Rick's Place, perhaps? No. Okay. All right. Well.
Nobody goes there.
Nobody. I thought everyone went to Rick's. I thought that was the whole spiel. Okay. That's a old movie reference. Okay. And he's also been. He's also taught with the Peace Corps in Peace Corps in El Salvador. Today he comes to teach us his use of pages and module course design in Canvas. Welcome, Mark. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Lynn. I feel so famous. Everyone in the office has said I'm famous this past week, so I'm starting to believe it. So yeah, I'm Mark Sullivan. I'll try to be more formal. I'm on camera, I guess. Thanks, Lane, for the introduction. I'm not used to that. It's good to remember what I've done in my life. Just like Lane said, I teach at the English Language Academy. It's the ESL students, international students who are wanting to attend UWM or are currently attending, but they need just extra English language skills for their courses. And I teach in both programs. We have the IEP, which is non-credit, so they're not currently enrolled students, and in the EAP, which is English for Academic Purposes, and those students are currently enrolled, but they have to take an extra English course, such as writing for multilingual students. Today we're doing just a little thing on module design. It's not a revolutionary idea, it's not too crazy. So don't expect your mind to be blown away if that's what you were expecting. But maybe it will help your courses, and it may not be the only way to allow students to access course content. You guys might even have better ways. So I'm kind of curious to know what you guys do in your classrooms. But I'll show you what I've been doing. So just a little background. Just learning management systems. I'm sure you all know before Canvas. What did you guys use before Canvas? Like for D2L. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I used too. I think everyone at most major universities was using it. When I was using it, I didn't have a whole lot of experience doing it, so I actually didn't really design my course and allow students to access content. So it was kind of like a question mark for me. Like I didn't really do that. I posted homework, I posted assignments, I gave them grades, but I never really, apart from posting the syllabus in some obscure location, I didn't really communicate with students very much. And so then when I switched over to Canvas, I found this whole module system. And for me, and it wasn't just me, it was some of my other colleagues who taught me that you can actually inform students about what you're doing in the coming weeks in your course. So for me, I thought Canvas was just a little more user-friendly, a little more interactive to do this. I don't know how you guys design your courses, but I think when you have Canvas, you can drag and drop files here. So for example, right here, you have week 3 of a course, and you can kind of put all your files in there. Do you guys have something similar that looks like this for your courses? Okay. So for me, when I saw this, I actually was like, oh wow, as a student, that would be pretty overwhelming to have all these files here. And so it even gave me a headache as a teacher. I was like, oh my God. So this was kind of the reasoning behind sort of creating a little more interactive design for students. So you can create pages and kind of inform students a little bit better about where they can access course content. And I don't know, maybe some of you are doing something similar, which I think is good. I see some head nods going on. So like I said, it might not blow your mind away. For me, that one just kind of gave me a headache, but this one just seemed a little more interactive when you put yourself in students' shoes. And even for myself, it helped me organize my own ideas, where I could see, oh, this is what we're doing on Monday, this is what we're doing on Tuesday. And so just a couple features, and some of you might already be familiar with this. So when you actually create these pages, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can put pictures in it. So for example, instead of just writing, read this text, you can put a picture in it, they can click on it, and it can hyperlink to the article. And for me, I think that's helping our students access course content a little better, rather than just telling them, oh, go to week 3 and click on that. It kind of saves them time, I think. You don't have to put pictures in here, but I put one just in here as an example. I actually usually don't, but I thought, it might be a good idea for you to see that you can do it. And one other thing that I do, I put a homework due. And if you have to access it through a link, you can hyperlink to it. So you can put it on Canvas, and then you can connect to it, or you can just upload it. And I usually do homework due just because, putting like homework next Friday, they might forget. So I actually put it on the day that it's due, which is just a strategy of mine. Maybe you guys have different strategies. And you can put links to in-class work, and that's really helpful for students if they're absent. So if they miss a class, or they're late, or they just forget, they always have access to it. And just in general, I just think doing it like this, it's just a little more interactive, not just for yourself, but for students. And it also kind of, I was talking with Lane and he was saying how like, oh, it kind of tells a story. And I agreed with him, it does kind of tell a story for the week where students can see, oh, this is what we're doing now, this is what we're doing the next day, this is what we're doing on Friday. So you're actually saving yourself time and saving students time. One way that it helped me is students started asking me less questions. So in the original one, when I just had that, they would just constantly bombard me with questions at the start and the end of class. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have time for this. So after switching to that, and one thing I would say is if you do it like this, dedicate a little bit of time at the start of your class for telling students like where it is and how to find it. And that's usually helpful, and at least my students, they do go there. So that's good to know that they actually listen to me. So why do it this way? You certainly don't have to. These are all just suggestions, recommendations. But for students, I think it informs them about in-class work or any homework due. If they're absent, or maybe they're just a student who forgets, they can always access materials online. They don't have excuses, so they can't say, oh, I forgot. I know it's not high school, it is university, so we do have expectations of them to be independent, but it's just kind of an extra little cushion for teachers to avoid all those excuses that they might give. And like I said before, I think it's just less overwhelming than that long list. Maybe certain weeks are really busy, so you have a list of like 20 files. And I think as a student, that's just like, oh my God, what do I do first? So I think it can be less overwhelming for them. And I think for me, rather than just have a syllabus and just upload it, that's always kind of, I mean, I know students go and look at the syllabus, but it is kind of just like this mysterious thing that a lot of students just don't really look at, unless you're, you know, like a perfect student. So I think it's just a way to take that syllabus and make it alive, like on Canvas. And I think it does save you time. You won't need to answer as many questions. They'll be able to figure out where to go. And it is like a working syllabus, so you can constantly update it. If you don't get to something like one day, you can do it the next day. I normally, after class, if there's changes, I just go to it right away, and then I make little updates if anything fluctuates. So I think those are some advantages of it. It's pretty easy to build. Lane will get to that. I could show you guys how to do that, but I saw his handout and there's like all these crazy ideas that I didn't even know about. So I was like, oh my God. I did write it only takes a few minutes. I mean, I don't know everyone's skill level with Canvas. For me, it actually took me a bit of time to figure out, but now it takes me like a few seconds just to like throw it in there. So it's kind of automatic for me, but Lane can give you guys some ideas. So I'm done talking. I'm not used to talking so much since I teach language classes. So do you guys have any questions for me?
First, thanks, because I'm finding this not mind-blowing, but like happily confirming, because I was like on the tracks of doing this kind of thing, and now I'm like, oh yeah, that's the way to go. So my question is, the overview page is great, then what do you have left in the module, other than like, is there a quiz there? Like what is left in the module? There's the overview page, and what else do you have that's
good question.
On the
It depends on the course.
Okay.
So in some courses, So it's kind of like for that page, it's a mixture. Like right now, this is one of my courses, so it actually does look like this. Like the files that they have to access actually go into that overview and homework page. But for other classes, I might just have that overview and homework and nothing else. And that doesn't mean that students can't find the files. All they have to do is click on them.
Exactly.
And I actually prefer that. Like I actually don't like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also if you change one of these documents, like on your personal computer, it's not going to upload there, so you have to like re-upload it. So I find myself doing more work by having these files here, so I just take them all out. And yeah, then right there you can put assignments in there. Yeah.
So I see you've got week 3 there. Do you ever do it where it's like course modules and then it says week 1, week 2, week 3, and that's the whole module? Do you know what I'm saying? Because otherwise you've got the week 3 and then it separates everything out. Have you played with that at all?
I haven't done that yet, but I've thought about that, like putting it into its own separate category. But Lane might be able to help you out with that. I think there's a way to do it, but right now it really is week 1, week 2, week 3. So it'll go like week 3 overview and homework. But I haven't put it all together. I think there's probably a way to do that.
We can talk more about that.
And then do you build in redundancies? So for example, say you've got a homework assignment coming up in 3 weeks, but you want them to be working on it. Do you put that assignment then every week? Or how do you make sure they have the documents without like being overwhelming?
Well, the way that they have the documents is that they can click on them here, and it clicks to the actual assignment in Canvas. So, like I think I understand your question. So do you mean like an assignment or like a homework assignment like in 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Like-
so would you put overview and homework, and then at the bottom of Friday you might say, check out this assignment that's coming up, and then you
Yes.
link it, and then the next week you might say, if you haven't looked at this yet, here it is again.
Yes, I do constant reminders, yeah.
Okay,
And so even like down here, I took it out, I wrote homework for Monday because they might not click ahead.
right,
So I always do that, yeah. Like I put in extra reminders, especially for like big assignments that can affect their grade. Like, and I'll put them in caps or put a picture.
thank you.
And is that part of like creating that narrative of what you want students to do? Is that kind of why you're trying to like not only say this is what you have to do now, but this is kind of how that course is going to build out into the future, right?
Yeah, and it's really just like a communication tool, really. And it's almost like putting problems that can happen in class like here. So like if there is like some major assignment, you should put it there. Because at the start of class, you're telling them this is the place where I'm communicating with you. And so we don't see each other that much. So I think it is important to do that.
Mark, I've got a question just to confirm. So you have completely replaced what's on the left with just one click, drop, one page that's got all that information on the right?
Yes.
Is that- Okay,
Yes.
okay. That's very
And
helpful.
but you do have to build this page.
Oh, yeah, I know, you doesn't, no, I thought Lane did all that.
I'm telling you right now. Yeah.
He's gonna have a busy week. I could do it for you too. It's real
Maybe
quick.
Kathy.
Only the color line.
Oh, that's right, Ellen has
If they paid me, I'll do it for you. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much the same thing.
Right, so you're just organizing it better and more intuitive for the students to be like, okay, I get it, I gotta do this. And then you can add some more narrative that rather than just add one.
And it does take a little bit of time as a teacher, but like I said, it's kind of like an offset with all the questions they could ask you. Like literally, students don't ask me any questions because they know exactly where it is.
For that sort of stuff, that's
Or
the other
if-
questions.
Yeah, or if I have to go off to another class, I'm like, check overview and homework. That's it. End of discussion. I don't have to say, oh, go here, oh, you know. So it really helps me.
Do you have a link to like a quizzes and stuff too, or not?
Oh, you can put that in there. Yeah, if there's like Canvas quizzes, like I think you can make quizzes on there. You can link to that. Yeah.
I was just wondering how this will work with a grade book, the Canvas grade book.
Oh, good question. Lane might be able to get into that, but you can link to graded assignments, so they can click on an assignment. I don't know if there's an example here. Oh, essay assignment 1. Like that's not a Word document. That links to a Canvas page where it gives you a description of the assignment. And that's where they upload the assignment too. So all they have to do is click.
Mark, if you like with those assignments, there might be some assignments that you don't want students to see until they finish certain things. How has that worked in this context?
Oh, good question. And like I said, it's kind of more the overwhelming interactive thing. I think it plays into that. But literally, like I don't build all of the weeks. So if I don't want them to know something really important, they won't know it. So for example, like this is week 3. They have a big writing assignment like in week 7 or 8. And they probably won't be able to know that. So it's kind of like a way to limit like what they should know right now.
What they should focus on.
Exactly.
Make sure.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, you could put everything in your course on Canvas, just like you put everything in your syllabus. But it's really just, what's the most immediate need right now? What do you need to do right now?
So I've accidentally put links on pages to assignments I haven't published yet. And so you can set up the link, and when students click on it, they just get an error message, like this isn't available yet.
Okay.
So I've only done it on accident.
Mhm.
But if you wanted to kind of have your page ready but not give them access to something until a later date,
Oh,
you
right,
could just hold off on publishing it.
right.
And then click it, you'd be good. But you'll probably get emails about, this won't work.
Another option you could do is lock the assignment, if you know when you want it to be available to students. And then, instead of an error message, they just get a message
Yes.
saying, this assignment is locked until such and such a date.
Yes.
So maybe that would cut down.
Yeah,
the
if they did it on
emails.
purpose, go that direction.
They'll
That's very
know, okay,
useful.
here's when it's supposed to be available to me.
Yes. Well, or you can hide the modules, so if you have week 3 up and you don't want them to see week 7, you just hide the whole module.
Mhm.
So you
Right.
instead of-
Yeah, with the green button,
Yeah.
the little circle.
Match the grade.
Yeah, that's a better answer to the question.
Yeah.
I always provide this long backstory and then I forget.
So, can I point out 2 problems with doing it this way? Because I've been playing with this. The one thing that they lose when you don't have the list is they can't press the next bar and go from, so you, if you give them directions, just start at the top and then click next and work through, they can't do that anymore because it's embedded in the homework. And the other thing is that they have to toggle back and forth between this homework page and the assignments. Now, I
That's
will
true.
say, my 20-year-old daughter who uses Canvas says the lists are way better to do it his way.
To do it that way.
Yeah, because she goes, then I know exactly what I need to do. But you lose some capacity. So the reason I asked about how do you build in redundancies is I'll have students say, well, I know I have this assignment coming up, or I'll refer to an assignment, but they can't find it because they don't have a list. Now, they may not be able to find it if they have a list anyway,
Yeah,
but you have to go into the pages to find the links.
and I think also, like I was saying, you do have to put yourself in the student's shoes. They have like 5 courses?
Right.
I mean, we teach a lot of courses too, but it's like when, you know, they have like all these assignments due, it saves time, I think. So maybe she's referring to that.
She just said it was so much easier to look at the big list, option 1, compared to a 1-page, you have to do this today or this week. She liked
Like,
that.
did she look like that?
Yeah, exactly. Because I asked her, I'm like, you're a student, what do I do here? So
I wish
that's
we could get
anecdotal, but
I wish we could get a video clip of her for this.
That's
yeah.
That would be
She's-
a sweet video, or a
Yeah.
GIF anyway. The big clocks flying and the papers moving, that'd be awesome.
Did you have another question, Bill? Or-
I've asked enough questions, I stir things up, I'm good.
Anybody else? Well, thank you, Mark, so much.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. I did put some questions for you guys, but we don't have to get into that if we don't have time.
I think when we asked, they had so many good questions, I think maybe we'll skip that for now. If we have time at the end, I just know that according to the blue sheets, everyone wanted to do we've been wanting to do activities, and I want to make sure I get to those because I want to.
Yes.
But I really appreciate those questions. I think, and then just something we can think about, and then maybe at the end we'll have some time to reflect a little bit more on that. So thank you so much again, Mark.
And my contact information is right there if you guys need to email me.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Mark. And that, the slides are also all available on the Canvas course as well. So I put those online so people would be able to get that as well, because I think that's really, it's a great, thank you for putting that up. And we'll talk about some other suggestions to keep Canvas informed on Canvas. Yeah. But I really like that first question. I mean, just really quick, because we have, I'll give you 3 minutes. Does anybody have any other similar methods or any other things that they would like to share in terms of organizing their course?
One thing I do, I've got each week is a session, and I have the reading, one bar is what you have to read to prepare for class. What do you have, readings and videos to prepare, what we're gonna do in class, and then what your homework is after class. So boom, boom, boom. Each session is set up exactly that same way, so you know what you have to do, what we did in class, and then what you did after class.
And I really like what you were mentioning there because you have that consistency.
Every week is set up exactly
Every
the
week
same.
is set up the same way. So students don't want to do the same thing every week. I remember I got that on evals, you just ask these questions every time in discussion. But having or administrative structure set up so that there's the consistency in there, they can anticipate, okay, I know this is exactly when this information is going to come out. I know exactly how this course is going to be structured, even if we're doing different types of activities, I still can anticipate how that's going to be set up. Or Mark, you have that page, everyone can anticipate, this is what, to find out what I need to do this week, I just go to that page and I see that narrative. And that narrative, I think, that's really powerful. Anybody else have another way of organizing it? Yes?
Well, in the assignment descriptions, I put links there to supporting materials that they need.
Nice.
So if there's a PDF that they're supposed to have read before doing a quiz, for example, then I put in the quiz directions a link to that PDF so I cut down, even though I have the list that you started out with, mine's a lot more condensed because I have there's stuff that I guess I just organize things differently. So I have my weeks, but then I also have supplemental readings and but those are all in separate modules, and then I have links within assignments when they need to access those. So that's just a
That's really good.
similar thing, but slightly different rationale.
And I mentioned that on one of those, here, it's this is exactly what I was talking about, thank you, because if you're gonna mention, you're mentioning in an assignment certain things they're supposed to have read, or a quiz, you need to have read this, this, and this, or done this assignment before you take this quiz. Having links to that is really helpful for students to not have to navigate back and what do I have to do again? They can just find, okay, I need to do this. Oh yeah, maybe I'll review that one more time. They can click it and they're going right there so they can see it. So if you mention it in your assignment, you pop a link to it back. That's awesome, thank you. Anybody else with a method for organizing your course, something you'd like to share with us? I think it's a wonderful, thank you for asking that, Mark. Right. Well, we will look at some other suggestions to keep students informed today, and then we'll get going on this thing's going slightly different. There we go. End the show. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to go into the course that I am an instructor in. So if you have your computer in front of you, go into a course that you're an instructor in. If you're using a phone or a tablet, that'd be awesome to see how that Canvas app works as well. All right, so I'm going to click on the Active Teaching Lab course, and I'm going to create a course, or create a kind of a week overview like Mark was talking about. So just going to go up to that plus menu within the module and click a new page. There we go. So I'm just creating a page, and this will say, weekly overview. I'm going to add that item in. I'm going to start editing that. And so edit. Now, I'm not going to create a full narrative like Mark does. I think that's a really great idea, just to let students know this is what we're covering, and this is what we're going to be, this is what you need to be doing, this is maybe why it's important. Looking into the future, this is what you're going to be doing, maybe this is how it's connected. And I think that's especially important on a blended or online courses, because you're getting a lot of time in a face-to-face course to talk to students about that information, right? Like if you're in a face-to-face course, you're talking to them in class, like, hey, this is what we're doing this week. Well, remember to do your assignment by Friday. Especially in online environments, it's so important to have that information digitally. But I think it's also a good idea, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong here, Mark, but like to have that type of narrative just redundant, right? Like you're talking about it in class, we're doing this for Friday. Hey, I'm gonna have this narrative on the class too, so even if you were maybe zoning out or you just missed it or you just forgot it, you have that information right there. Is that kind of like what you're doing?
Yeah, I put it up there at the start of class.
Sure.
And just showed them.
Oh, you showed them too?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So you show them like at the beginning of like the semester or every week?
Like every couple weeks, I'll put it up there just because sometimes they forget that it's even there.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, oh, this is here, remember. You know,
Yes.
so it's kind of like, instead of having to like write announcements or type them, you have it right there.
Oh, so you just mention it in class
Yeah.
and say, okay, hey, remember I put this on Canvas, and you're helping students because maybe they haven't used Canvas before, or they're just starting to use it, and now you're helping them. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we have the overview of what we're doing, and then Monday, and then we'll put some spaces there, and then Wednesday, and oops, Friday, and then what's happening next week. And so that's just kind of creating a really basic outline, and you kind of set up an outline, you just kind of kept using that every week, right? So that way, again, that consistency so people know what to expect when they're getting in there. And then you just add links to different things that they need to do, right? So you just put your cursor where you want that link to go, and I'll maybe make it a bulleted point. Can we see? Yeah, I can zoom in a little bit too. And then you just go over to that right-hand navigation bar, and then you can add links, and that's kind of the backbone of what you're doing, right? Is you're adding those hyperlinks. So here's a link, and then it'll say, okay, a link to a page, to an assignment, or to a quiz, and that just goes to those pages, assignments, or quizzes, and say, okay, I want you to on Monday to have read. Well, we'll just ignore the dates here, but do that. Have read that one. And maybe you can add some text beforehand, please read the October 16th lab notes. And if you don't want that all to be hyperlinked, you can just select it. And then let's go up to here to remove link. And that'll just remove the link for the stuff that you selected. Because sometimes, we always make a hyperlink and then we kind of mess up on what we wanted. So, okay, please read the 16th lab notes. And then for Wednesday, I'm gonna, maybe we want you to do some assignments, and please complete the class experiment A, and please also do class assignment B. All right. And so those are just going to be links taking the students right to where they need to go. Let's see, what else? We can also add then links to files. So Friday, let's say we want to read something. So we want them to read, okay, I want you to have read this, or look over this PowerPoint, this class PowerPoint. So again, you're just adding links based upon, okay, we add a link to a different page. Oops, let's get that cursor up there. A link to a different page, to an assignment, to a quiz, or you can add links to files right here and here. And the other cool thing that I really like to do with files is I put my cursor over it, right? And then I go back up to this link to URL button that you might have used elsewhere. And now I'm going to auto open the inline preview for this. I'm going to click update the link. So I have that link somewhere, I have just my cursor somewhere in that link so the Canvas knows what I'm talking about. I go to link to URL, auto open the inline preview, update the link. I already did that. And then let's show you what it looks like. There we go. So if you want somebody to have, read over that, you can just have it pop open automatically. And then if they want, they can always minimize it as well. Pop it back down. Or they can open it back up. So there you go. So this is really nice, especially if you're having them do a reading assignment, right? So I want you to read chapter 6 of Robinson and Gallagher, right? And then I want you to write a 50-word essay about Robinson and Gallagher as an assignment. Then you can just have that file open right there so they can read it and then they can do the assignment all on the same page without having to do anything or click anything. Really nice, especially if it's like on a tablet or something like that they're using. Yes?
Sorry, I missed the button. Which
That's
button?
okay, we can do that. Totally do that again. All right, click. So I'm going to edit this page. And I'm just going to take this one out. We'll just get rid of it. All right, so I'm going to do this all over. I'm going to add a file. And we'll make it another PowerPoint. There we go. So I've added the link. I've added a file. This only works for files. All right, it won't work like if I put a link over here to an assignment. I can't have that assignment open up. But I can have a file open up. So PDFs, Word docs, PowerPoints.
What about images?
Images, well that would be, we'll put an image in then. So I mean it would be a different, like you can make it just pop open. I never even tried it to have it, to do it that same functionality, because if I want an image to show up, I'll just show image. But I'll do the images though, that's great. But I think it's slightly different workflow. So I have the PowerPoint, I put my cursor somewhere on that PowerPoint, right? I'll try to use sorry, Kathy. Put my cursor somewhere on the PowerPoint, and then I click that link to URL button, the little chain, and that's where you're going to see auto open. If you don't see it, it's because you maybe haven't selected a file, because it won't show if you don't have a file selected. So auto open, and then I update the link, because what that does is it changes the HTML of that link, and then it updates the link, and so the HTML is slightly different. And then I click save, and then it'll auto open. And this will work for pretty much anything. Oh, there's Mark's. Totally by random. Here we go.
Now, I've got a question with that kind of strategy, Wayne. If you have that early in the thing,
It
how
will
much will students then
Totally fudge it up.
mess
Absolutely.
up, like, okay, I didn't even see that because
Yeah.
I had this thing and
Yeah.
I just read it.
So it has to be strategic, right? It has to be strategic. It has to be something that you're like, okay, I want this to be open for a reason. Like it's an assignment that I want them to have done this reading, and then I want them to do the activity. There's a reason for me to do it versus just, hey, I kind of think that's cool. The other thing you can teach your students as well is that if you looked at Mark's page, actually, you can look at Mark's page. Look at that. Synergy. Let's see. There it is. We see those little icons on Mark's page. Those are files, right? He didn't do anything with that. That's just how Canvas is rendering it. And if you look, here's that little link again. So you can tell your students, Canvas for Everything will open a preview of those documents. And so for all of those documents that he loaded up, he could just tell them, again, because he's taking time out of class, which I think is genius, to let students know, hey, I have this overview, check out the overview to see what you have to be doing this week, or maybe even going over it. If you see this little icon, that means it'll auto-open the file for you. You can look at it right there. So, yeah. Letting students know how to use the tool. Students are really tech savvy, but they don't, there's always new things to learn. They know the tools they know, but if they haven't been taught this, they aren't going to know it. So let them see. And it's kind of one of those things you're like, ooh, that's cool. Just save me a click. I love that. Save me 2 seconds of my life.
And you do that 1,000 times during the semester, because it's about how many readings we have?
Exactly.
That's like 2,000 seconds.
That's like me wasting my time watching How It Should Have Ended. One episode of How It Should Have Ended, yes. Okay, so that's providing links on these pages. Again, I think really a big thing in creating these narratives is being consistent with that. Oh, last thing, images. you can add images here. You can also add images through this button. And in case, if you haven't been to my Canvas Basics, I always talk about this there as well. The images button, I like adding images with this. I just like this one better. This one I find a more wonky, maybe Ann will disagree.
No, there's a lot of clicks.
Yeah, there's a lot of clicks. This has less, I feel this has less clicks. And what I like about it is, so I'm gonna upload the image. So I'm just gonna upload, I'm just gonna choose the image I want. And then once I've done it, it'll automatically show up here. So I'll see my images below there. And then I'll just pop open an image, you know, one of my favorite people. So there we go. And then I'll type in, you know, Queen Elizabeth II. And then I'll just click upload. And wherever my cursor is, that's where it's gonna show up. Bam, there she is. Now, I've added a pretty decent, alt tag on there. But if you need to edit the alt tag, or you want to change or change the screen's image type, because I like the Queen, but that's a lot of Queen to look at. Maybe I can click and drag on the corner. It'll save the aspect ratio, so she won't be too fat or too thin. Or else the other thing is I have this image selected, so I can just select that embed image button, and now I can change the size to more precisely what I want, and I can change the alt tag, because that's really important. Sometimes you forget to do the alt tag, because who hasn't forgotten to do the alt tag? Well, you can go back in and easily change that by just selecting the image and then clicking on Insert Edit Image, and really it's about that editing image. So my workflow for images is usually I add images here, and then I edit images there. So yes?
Okay, this is also on an editing thing, not with images. So if you are building one of these pages and you don't want to use the file name as the name that the students, the assignment or whatever. So I know you can, write like assignment 1 and then add the link, but if you forget to do that, so if you make the link to the assignment and forget to have done it by changing the name first, can you change the name afterwards?
The name as it appears here?
Yes.
Okay, so you can always select text
Right,
and then select file,
right,
and there it is.
right.
Yep. If you want to,
forget to do that.
if you forget to do that, if I just pop this in,
Yes,
yes, but you have to go into the HTML.
okay.
So you have to select it and then active, and then go to HTML, active learning, and then you can basically go in there and you'll be able to change the way it's presented
Okay.
as it's shown. I can show you how to do that more in depth afterwards,
No, that's okay.
but it's totally possible.
Probably easier for me just to redo it from the beginning, and
Yes.
I'm good with that, so.
If
Saving
it's a
time.
file, you can do it if you click on files.
Like, oh, okay, unlink.
On the left side, if you
Yep.
click on files, and then you select the file and you can rename it. And then it renames it throughout the whole course.
What, one more time?
So go all the way to that side, the
This
other side, under files.
Yep.
Okay, click on that.
Save it.
That's a good reminder.
Yes, thank you.
I feel
Bill.
like it lets me navigate away.
Yes, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. You
So
have to be
here,
careful.
you can rename the file. If you click on the kebab,
Thank you.
rename.
Rename.
And then it changes it in every document you have in Canvas.
Will it change the link
It
as
doesn't,
it appears?
that I don't know, you can try it.
Probably not.
It's still gonna have the little suffix out, it's still gonna have the PPT or .x or whatever, right?
Let's see which one I have in here. So let's change. There's that teaching lab module design 1 PPT. Okay.
Or Lane, if you changed the one that's with,
Oops, sorry.
sorry,
No. I sometimes,
Lane is super,
yeah.
like if you change the file name, I'm assuming that text Lane is super would still stay the same.
Yes.
But would it disrupt the link to the file if you change the file name?
Active Learning
Or will
Gradebook
that
for
just
CETL.
update
Okay.
automatically?
There it is. This is that file that's Lane is super, because Lane is super. And
You could change it to Lane is super awesome.
Or this is what this is how my band teacher would teach the drummers different rhythms. All right, Lane is a nerd. Lane is a nerd. I remember that. Junior high, it was a little less cool than I am now. So, all right, yeah, that's not saying much. Okay, Lane is super. Now is the 5. I hover over it. It's still saying the old one, but if I click on it, it opens save as Lane is a nerd. So if I, so save it, and then I download it. So I'm clicked on it to download. Minimize the file. Okay, so that it's all working. But I think this is because the HTML, as it's the alt tag, that's what's going on here. That the alt, when you hover over it, that's still the old one, so it's not changing as it appears, but the file is still linked.
Still goes to the same.
But
goes
if
to
you
the
were
same
to relink
object.
it, if you were to just link it with whatever name, so maybe go next to it and relink it, it's gonna show up as Lane is a nerd, right?
Yeah, so if I were to go back in, if I were to edit and I were to relink it, it would be Lane is a nerd. Because then it would update it to the current name.
Okay.
But you'd have to actively change that. But it's still, it's gonna point back to the correct file, even though the file name has changed, it's still remembering where, it knows where to go. Because it's really, it's not, I don't think it's the file name it's being saved under, it's under a file number. And I think that's why it doesn't matter what the name is. I could be wrong, so if people at Canvas are watching this, they can correct me, which I'm sure they are. I'm gonna move on so that we can see the check marks. Okay, so if you wanna go to today's, or if you wanna go to this course online, and then I'll show you, actually maybe not yet, I'll show you how to set up the requirements. So to set up a requirement in a course, what you do is you click on the kebab within that module, okay? Click on the kebab, and I'm gonna click edit. Kebab and edit, and there's the button, add a requirement. So I'm gonna add a requirement, and I'm gonna require a couple things, all right? These are things that I want you to do. You don't have to do all of these. Maybe I'll say some of those. I don't know, we'll try that. Okay. I want you to have looked at, looked at Mark's PowerPoint presentation. I want you to have completed or submitted the October 23rd in-class experiment A, and I want you to have, for B, to get score at least an 8 out of 10. And maybe I'll add one more thing. What else do I have in here? Oh, the YouTube. I want you to have marked, view the item for YouTube. I guess I have to link so I can only view it. But maybe for the PowerPoint presentation, I can only view it. Let's see, is there another one? There's that weekly overview. There you go, weekly overview. I want you to have marked as done. Okay, and I'll relock that content. Okay, so I now have, you can see these right here. You need to view, submit, score at least an 8 out of 10, and mark as done. Now, viewing just means they click on it, right? So as soon as they clicked on it, Canvas will note that click, it tracks it, and then students can see, hey, then they can see that they have viewed it. Same with submitting, score at least. Mark as done, I really like these things. I really like it when you force somebody to say, affirm that they've done something. If you just have somebody view, they can click next, 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 and that's viewing. When you have to mark as done, you actually have to do something to affirm, I have done this. And what studies have shown, if you require somebody to affirm that they have done something, they're more likely to take it serious and do it, versus view it, yeah, I viewed it for 1 second, I did it. But if you mark as done, it's saying something a little bit more. And not every student's gonna do that, there's nothing to stop them, but you're asking them to put their name on the line to say, I've done this. So it increases the probability of doing that. So what does this look like on the student side? Well, and you can check this out yourself, because this is now will active. If you're in the course, you can just click refresh, and then those requirements will show up. But I'm going to click on Student View, and let's see what this looks like here. Okay, so I see that I have things to do for this course, right? I only have to complete one item, right? And then I guess it'll be done. But we can change that. Let's see. All right, I'm going to click on View, and okay, I viewed it for 1 second, and now I'm going back home.
Good job.
Yay for me. And now I've completed the criteria for this module, so I've completed one item, check mark, yay. I've also, because I completed this one item right here. And now all those little circles are gone away because I only had to complete one item. That's not what I want as an instructor. I want them to do everything. So I'm gonna leave student view. And I'm gonna change things up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna publish these, even though they aren't, the lab notes, that's from last week, it's just a placeholder, so I remember to do it. But I'll leave that on. And then I'm gonna go click on plus, oops, cancel, my bad. I'll click on the kebab of the module, click edit, and say I wanna complete all of these things. And I don't have to have them require in sequential order, that's okay. All right. I'm gonna click update, and now I'm gonna go to student view. And now, I see a couple different things. Okay, one, I'm not done with this yet, right? I've completed part of it, that's why there's that circle, but I haven't completed all of it. So I still have more to do. I have things that I have left to do, these ones right here, but it's also noticing right here, like, hey, there's this activity sheet or handout, and then these other items, they don't have circles next to them. They aren't required. And so I think one nice thing for students in doing it this way, now again, this isn't going to work with a page what Mark has set up as much. It's a little bit different style, but pros and cons to each. What you can do here, and this is really handy, now you can tell your students at the beginning of the semester, or maybe every so often, I really like how Mark is doing this, once every couple of weeks he reminds students how he has the course set up. You can say, hey, if there's a circle next to it, you have to do it. You need to do this. If it doesn't have a circle next to it, that's maybe optional, right? So you can let students know right away, this is what you have to do, this is what's optional. This is the bonus assignments or stuff that's extra credit or just extra readings that you don't need, secondary readings. And I think that's really handy to help students just kind of see right away, okay, I have a lot of things here, but I only have to do these, right? Lessens the anxiety. And also just clear for these students what it is that's required and what's optional. So you can kind of go through these as well and kind of see what it looks like. I'm going to show you the mark is done. So I'm going to look at this weekly overview. And I've reviewed it. There's the queen. And there's the review. And I've actually looked at this. And oh, there's the mark is done. I would tell you that if you want students to mark is done and not email you, how do I do this? Take a moment at the beginning of the class and say, hey, some of these items you need to mark is done. You need to mark this as you've completed this. You're telling me you've done it. Go up here, you click mark is done. That's where that button is. Just so students know that's where this is. So I'm going to click mark is done. Yay. Can you click on it again?
Done.
There it is. Mark is there. All right, so I'm going to go back home. And now I can see, okay, I still have 3 more items to do, but I got these other things done. Again, this is really handy because students aren't spending 2-hour chunks in the evening like I did as an undergrad. Let's not kid ourselves, an hour. Looking at my assignments in my dorm with my books and my syllabus and my computer. They're on the bus, they're at the coffee shop, they're on their way to work. This is so nice for students to be able to see on the go. Hey, did I finish my PowerPoint presentation? Oh yeah, I did, I looked at that. Or did I finish this weekly overview? Oh yeah, I marked that one as done. I remember, oh yeah, okay, done. And now I can move on to the next one, right? Of course I'm doing these out of orders, which is, again, not. I should do these, I should have this in the order I intend you to do it, but we're demonstrating here. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the student view, and the last thing I wanna show you, and I think this is so smart, you wanna know what students are doing, right? What are students doing in your course? What are they not doing? What have students not got to yet? That's often a problem. So I'm gonna go and view progress, and everything that I have selected as a requirement will be notified, will be logged on view progress. And now I can go through and look at these students. Oh, Bill has not completed these two things.
Slacker.
Slacker, right? If I notice, oh, this is October 23rd, that's this week. It's okay, he hasn't got it done yet. We're still working through this. And he's gotten these other ones done. So good job, Bill. He's staying up to date. But if you notice that some of these, older modules that Bill hasn't got those done, this is an opportunity for you to intervene. It's a nice way of getting information with one click. You can just go through your students and see what it is they haven't done, right? I see that he hasn't even started, or she hasn't even started the modules. Maybe I need to get in there and start interacting with Susan a little bit to kind of help her move along with the course. I'm intervening. I'm trying to take a moment to intervene. Now, if she hasn't done anything, it's not going to show that she hasn't done anything. But once they've started that process, you'll see what it is they've done and what they haven't done. Any questions on this? Yes?
So that view progress, is that only for things that you have set as required?
Yes.
Because I've tried that and I'm like, this is not telling me anything.
Yes.
It's because I haven't done, okay.
Yep. So you have to set as a requirement.
Okay.
Once you do the requirements, then all this data starts flowing into here. The other thing that you'll want to look at as well is prerequisites. And we won't have time to talk about prerequisites really in depth today, but it's kind of that next step of curation of the course. And I would always advocate with something like prerequisites, because prerequisites will lock your course down. So if you have a prerequisite, you have to complete week 1 before you complete week 2. 1, you have to have your course in sequential order. I have it in reverse sequential order, right? Because I have the most current stuff on top. It's not going to work. Prerequisites are set up based upon the order of material flowing from the top down. So you really aren't going to be able to rotate your content, because in order to access week 2, you have to complete week 1. Well, it's based on the order it appears. You can't have week 2 above week 1. It won't work. The other thing about prerequisites is that it will lock things down until students have completed it. But if they're falling behind and they haven't got the quiz done, or they haven't got an 8 out of 10 on this, they aren't going to be able to access week 2. Or if you haven't graded it yet, they aren't going to be able to access week 2, right? So it locks it down. So if you have a purpose for doing prerequisites, great, do it. But just kind of don't do it because, oh, this will be a nice way of forcing students to do stuff. It'll kind of make more of an administrative headache for you, and it makes it easier for problems to occur where students get behind or they get locked out and they get frustrated. So it's just kind of be mindful of the prerequisites. It's kind of like a really powerful, I don't know, with great power comes great responsibility. I think there's a Spider-Man movie about that somewhere. Okay. I also have Harry Potter in my head right now. All right, so that's prerequisite, that's requirements, and adding files and images and content. If you want to learn more, there's more on the handouts. If you have any questions, please put them on the blue sheet or email them me. I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for your attention today. Let's see if I can find my, where's it at? There it is. Thank you so much for your attention today. Please do complete your evaluation. That really helps me as we set up and organize this course. And also just thank you so much for your attention at Active Teaching Lab, really because we were trying to design this around learning and building a community. I really love the conversations that we have, and that community is always helped by food, so the bagels. So thank you so much for Cito for providing the bagels and the coffee. I really appreciate that. And please come and bring a buddy every week. It's more fun with more people. So please, tell your friends about Active Teaching Lab, and come next week for the Canvas mobile app. Simone is going to be talking to us about the mobile app. She's going to have one of her students come in and talk about how students are using the mobile app and what their perspective is on it. So please come next week, October 30th, and for another week of Active Teaching Lab. Thank you so much for your attention. Appreciate it. So thank you, Mark.